The Khemian civilization has probably been known up to this very day as one of the most amazing archaeological sites to this modern day. The reason for this is because there is so much to discover about the many different eras of the Khemian dynasties, from the time where it was ruled by two pharaohs in Upper and Lower Egypt, to the Old Kingdom, the New Kingdom, and the Ptolemaic dynasties when it was ruled by Greek rulers instead of Egyptian rulers. These dynasties were all recorded by the many scribes that were scattered throughout the empire, and no god has held to the standards that every scribe must aspire to than the god Thoth. Thoth is a god of the moon and also a god of knowledge and magic. His role is mostly seen as being the record-keeper of the trials for Anubis's judgment, that every soul would be judged against the feather of the goddess Mut, goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was heavier than the feather, then it would be seen to be filled with guilt, and so it would be consumed by the beast Amit. If the heart was light with compassion and kindness, however, then they would be accepted into the realm of Duat, ruled by the god Osiris. Thoth would also play an important role as being the author of the Book of the Dead, a tome of many protective magical spells meant to keep the soul safe on their journey to the underworld against beasts and monsters, for as it turns out, even in the afterlife, there are many dangers to seek and be aware of. But Thoth is known most especially for being the record-keeper of nearly everything in the universe. He is in fact the god of scribes, and so he knows of anything and everything that has and is occurring. He knows of all historical events, even down to the very least of peasants in the empire, and of course, down to even the most insignificant creature and event that may have occurred. Thoth knows all things, but he does not know of the future. This is his limit. And of course he is not the most powerful god because that title belongs to the goddess Mother Isis, whom, for a time, was his pupil. But there is one event that probably is known very significantly about Thoth, probably the only tale that can speak of what it is that he actively was a part of. One day, Thoth visited the palace of the moon, and so when he visited it, he challenged the moon itself to a game that is similar to chess, but doesn't quite follow the same rules. Anyway, this game, he made a wager. And in this wager, he said, "Allow me to take some of your light for every time I win a game." And so, the game was set and it was made. Every time Thoth had won, a little bit of the moon's light would be taken. But it wasn't for any nefarious reasons, for you see, Thoth had a plan, and this plan involved adding more days to the calendar. And so with the light that he had taken from the moon, he spread it out further so that more days throughout the month could be made. And so this is why we have the calendar we have to this day, because the moon used to be brighter and more luminescent, but it is only less bright so that more days could be made from it. And thus he is also a god not just of record-keeping, but also a god of time-keeping as well, for it is he who was able to make the calendar as it is today, so that more days of the harvest can be made, and of course, more days out of the year in general, but it is this that makes him a god of calendars as well. Thoth is not known for having many temples, as far as we are aware of, but that is simply because his sacred sites can be found in any place of knowledge. These are places where he is honored, because it is he who protects and preserves all knowledge so that it may be used for the future, no matter how seemingly insignificant the knowledge may seem. The point of Thoth, however, is that in his worship, it is to remember that each person has their role to play, no matter how little it may seem, and of course that all knowledge, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is sacred and should never be lost. Furthermore, it is important to remember that his need to record everything in the art of magic also makes it important to know that as a patron, he is a god that significantly participates in not just moon magic, but also chaos magic, a magic that we will cover in another video, but to basically summarize, it is about record keeping. and it is not as chaotic as it sounds. But this is his art. If you are a practitioner of both moon magic and or chaos magic, then Thoth may be a god for you in your witchly practice. Thank you for listening into this video. I appreciate you in coming to this lesson. I hope you learned something from it, and if you did, be sure to click that like button and subscribe if you wish to see more on future videos of gods and goddesses from many different religions, and of course to learn about magic and witchcraft. And until next time, so mote it be, and blessings be.